guys, Ben with Descent Off-Road. We got a pretty exciting build here. We wanted to document and show you guys. So we finally just finished this up. This has been in the shop for months now. So we've done a ton to it, a lot of wiring. You'll see it looks very similar to our other one we just completed as well, but this one we've got a lot more kind of going on behind the scenes. I know we've seen a few comments of that's a lot of money for some bolt-ons. I do want to be clear, there is no bolt-ons available for this platform. We've had to design, custom fabricate literally everything on this vehicle. The snorkels, the bumpers, the skid plates, the brackets, the drawers were custom made by Air Down Gear Up based off of some scans. They do plan to offer them, but again, there's no bolt-ons for this vehicle currently. We hope to change that, we hope to make it, but even at that, these products, they're very complex. The vehicle's complex, the safety system's complex. Removing some of those grill shutters, things like that, it's not a simple build. So it does take some very skilled individuals to do so. But with that, let's start on the front. So we've got our aluminum steel modular bumper. So the main shell's one piece, that is aluminum. We've got our steel frame brackets, recovery points. We've again loaded this similarly with the rigid SAE high beam light bar, 30-inch. One thing to note with all of our light bar centers is we do not make that light bar captive. So what that means is this can be changed. So if you were to ever have a problem with the light bar, a lot of bumpers, you literally have to remove the bumper to fix the light bar. This will unbolt out of here without removing anything on the bumper. We've ran the 3-pod SAE rigid fog lights here to match our headlight, which is a pretty cool setup. Looks super clean, super bright. And again, that is a legal fog light as well. We've got the same 12.5 come up solo in here. So that fits right in the bumper. Works great. The parking sensors, all the safety systems are integrated. We got our front camera, our radar up in the grill. We've had to do the same thing with the active grill shutter. So we've had to remove that, trick the system to thinking that is not there. So we have no codes being thrown there. And again, just to kind of touch on, if you didn't watch the other video on the other one we did, airflow was a very tricky thing on this platform. So we got our intercoolers under here. Obviously, we took a lot of the grill out, so we need to maintain airflow. So we've got vents through the side. We've got some louvers that go directly into the intercooler down here, along with underneath. We got a few more louvers, and actually these winch gussets force air rams through there and hits the lower portion of our radiator. And then these winch access ports also offer some decent airflow. With the fog lights, we've also done an open frame design for our can here. So a lot of air is actually pushed around and through these lights. That is another big reason we went with the 3 pods versus a solid light in that bumper. All right, so we didn't do a ton under the hood, but let's take a look at what we have done. On all the trucks we work on, we try to keep everything as hidden and clean as possible. So when you pop this hood, you cannot tell that we've really done anything under here. So a lot of the wiring that we have done, basically what's coming up under here is going to be our winch wiring and our Switch Pro wiring. Our snorkel tubes are tied in up under here, but I'll pull this cover. So we've got our Switch Pro brain mounted here. All of our lights, everything wired to this bus bar tucked in behind this battery cover. So our winch comes up through here as well. We always like to use terminal blocks on the Switch Pro. That lets us kind of rearrange the switches in a way that makes sense and lets the end user be able to change up those switches as well. So again, super clean under here. Once that cover's installed, you can't even really tell anything was done. Put that cover back on. And most of the wiring that we have is done in the back. So we'll show you that here in a bit, but wanted to show you under the hood, just how clean and OEM this looks under here. All right, the other thing we have in the front going all the way to the back is a custom set of skid plates, aluminum skid plates. They're reinforced. We've got gusseting and structure under those to make them real solid. And then same emphasis on airflow. We've put a lot of louvers. We've louvered the skid plates around the cats to let those vent and keep that, that heat that's generated from the exhaust to go out instead of up through your floorboard. And then we've got other louvers down underneath there as well. All right, so on the tires and wheels, we've got a set of Icon Recon SLX in the gray, and we've wrapped a set of 285/75 18 Wild Peak AT4s. That's a 35 11.5, great size, very minimal trimming to fit that. This tire is, we've been impressed so far. We don't have a ton of miles on it, but tread pattern looks great. The sidewall looks great, looks very aggressive for an all-terrain tire. So stoked with how those look. And I think the customer was actually running the AT3s prior to this in a smaller size, and he loved them. So I think he'll enjoy the AT4s as well. So again, on the wheels, these are a plus 40. So we've got the factory flares on this one. The other one we did had the extended flares. So we went a plus 25. These ones we kept tucked in a little tighter because of the factory flare. Moving up to the roof rack. So we've got our aluminum roof rack. We've got rigid spreader lights all the way around on our custom brackets we make. So these are aimable. You can aim them straight out. We can aim them down when you're at camp. These have the amber halo in them. One thing to note on this rack is there's no drilling. So the LX has a roof rail and no actually factory roof bolts. So if you were to remove that roof rail, you'd have to drop the headliner, pull the rail, bolt your rack, reinstall the liner. Huge job, and the liner never goes back to how it was. So we actually designed a custom clamp mechanism that actually clamps this whole rack to that factory rail. So super solid system, easy to install, bolt on, no drilling, no effect to the roof. We've installed a couple of the black Agency 6 grab handles here. There's no tent going on this vehicle. I believe this customer is going to be towing a trailer that he camps out of. We may be adding an awning and stuff in the future, but ultimately he's going to get out and use it and see what else he may need in the future. So right now we're pretty bare up there. So moving around to the front of the roof rack, we've got a rigid 40-inch bar incorporated into our light bar fairing. Super sleek, low profile, does not extend up above the rack like a lot of light bar fairings do. So you can run full length items on the roof without it interfering. Also super quiet, hardly any wind noise at all. And as we wrap around here, these are pretty special. These took a lot of doing, a lot of work. There are no snorkel available for the LX600. There's some available for the 300 series. Might be similar. We didn't know. We didn't have many companies we could work with that were willing to send sets to try out or look at any of our scans. So we just decided to build some ourselves. So these are all stainless. They're fully sealed. They're plumbed in. They are a true snorkel. We've got a little logo badge here, but that's also an access plate for our internal tubing to get to your hose clamp underneath there. We've got, and it's not a super high snorkel, so you can see we've got our intake right here. So we wanted to eliminate all the water going into the snorkel from the top, and this particular customer, and I think with most wheeling these, is not planning on getting in water that deep. So this is there as a just in case, and also to keep the intake cleaner. One hurdle we ran into of several with getting these is the first time we put these on, they were loud, and it's the twin turbo. We got one on each side, obviously, for each intake. The turbos, while it sounded cool, it was a little bit obnoxious. So we have done some things in the air box to try and baffle that sound, and we've got it down to a manageable sound now. So we'll be doing a little more testing performance-wise, make sure we're not losing any performance, and if anything, I think we'll be gaining some performance and airflow with these snorkels. So I'm going to do take off from a stop with the mic kind of near my head so you get a more accurate assessment of what it sounds like in the cab. So here we go. So hopefully that comes through, but you can clearly hear the intake, clearly hear the turbos, the blow-off valves, but it's very manageable. It's not I can still have a conversation with it, and it sounds pretty cool. Moving from the snorkel down to the step sliders. So these again are aluminum step slider. They are body mounted, which sounds crazy, but we've done it on our Sequoia. We've beat the crap out of them. It's held up quite well. With them being body mounted, it lets us tuck them up really high. So we've gained a considerable amount of clearance on a pretty low vehicle to start with. So I think it makes the vehicle look better, I think, and also gaining those few inches on the side there is huge. We've played it off with a full boat side around all of the auto height control components. And one thing to note, you'll see this is dirty right now. We are not only filming, we're kind of doing a little shakedown run for the customer. We typically try to do that with every build that's this extensive because we need to test it out. We need to make sure the tires aren't rubbing, that we don't have rattles, that everything is tight, make sure the snorkels are working, engine temps, intake temps, all of those are looking good with everything we've done as far as airflow and intake. And so far so good, but we will definitely wash this up, detail it before the customer picks it up. And he wanted us to take it out and do some shakedowns anyway. All right, so let's move around to the back. We got a lot going on back there and a lot to show you, and I'm pretty excited with how that turned out. All right, so moving on to the rear, we've done our high clearance aluminum hybrid rear bumper with the Overland panel here. These are the same swing outs as all of our bumper, but obviously the bumper is considerably different. We don't have anything on this yet. The customer's not totally sure how he's going to outfit this panel. I do believe we will be running a ARB jack inside here. He's going to actually bring it to us when he picks up. He already has that. The typical setup inside this panel is a jack, propane tank, or fire extinguisher. You can fit like first aid kits, whatever in there. Some people will mount their air compressors. So pretty versatile setup. This is all aluminum, as with all of our accessories. The swing arms are steel. The bumper shell is aluminum. And then the frame brackets, recovery points are steel. So the shell slides over, kind of a steel substructure. So super solid setup, actually very solid on that tire as well. We've got an integrated towing plug. This is the factory tow plug. We move it out to a usable space. We've got plenty of room to access, actually more so than even stock, to access your hitch pin and your safety chains. Camera is relocated to here in the center, so it actually still works quite well with the 360 view. There's a little bit of a weird void on the 360, but it integrates pretty well, and we can still see everything in the back and see our hitch to hitch up a trailer. We've got our combo lights here with the smoked lens cover, matching spare tire and wheel. So this is our standard tire carrier with the little flip up table. All of the swing outs are on gas struts, gas assisted struts, bump stops for opening and closing. So it's a soft open close. And then the same as all of our swing outs, you got the slam style latch. So just give it a push and it's closed up. Shore power. We'll go more on this when we open up the back, but we've got our shore power here. So this actually plugs into our red arc system. So you can plug this into your wall, keep your auxiliary battery, everything topped off. Normally we would hide that somewhere under the bumper, but on this one, the customer really wanted it easily accessible and somewhere he's not gonna forget it's plugged in when he takes the vehicle out. So we opted to put it right here. All right, so the other thing in the rear bumper is the proximity sensors. We got a total of 4 of them on here. These were a little tricky. I think we've got them pretty well sorted out because these unlike the older vehicles, they kind of work with the entire safety system. So it is very crucial that they are in a position that makes sense. So we've got a lot of different positioning and testing and seeing where those sensors light up on the dash. But we did integrate them. We've got them as close to factory as possible. And they seem to be working well. We had to actually raise, these seem to have a lot more of a range than previous model proximity sensors. So they're actually sensing the spare tire with it where it's at. So we've had to raise the tire, kind of move that around, change the angle of the sensors to make sure that doesn't happen. But again, those are functioning. We've also added this is not standard on any of our bumpers, but we do get custom once in a while. So Trekbox makes these cool mounts for the Anderson plugs. So we've got a 50 amp Anderson plug right in here. We're actually going to use that for, he's his trailer, but also we've wired into our Morphlate air compressor so we can plug it right in here, being that the battery is a little bit of a pain to get to. We want an easy spot for him to hook his compressor to. All right, so moving on to the inside, pretty excited to show you what we've got going in here. This is probably about 75% of the time involved in this build was on this drawer system, the electrical system. So first thing you'll see is the air down gear up drawer system with their fridge, their full kitchen with the fridge cage. Awesome setup. Didn't have a ton of room to mount our Red Vision controller, so we ended up putting it into the drawer face. So it's had some difficulties, but it worked out quite well. We have done a ton of wiring, and the goal back here is to keep it all clean, tucked tight. We don't have exposed wires anywhere. And I think we achieved that quite well. So starting here, one thing I want to touch on too is just wire management, cable management. It's a tricky thing, and I see a lot of vehicles they're lacking. So we've got these cable guides here. So this is actually the cable for our Red Vision controller. We've routed it out, tucks in nicely there. In here, we've made a cover for the drawers, if we can see down in there, that protects that. So there's no exposed wires or anything there. Don't have this really outfitted too much yet. In this drawer, we did make, you can't access the factory bottle jack very easy once these are installed. So we just made a pretty cool little simple mount that lets you mount your bottle jack in here. We'll shut this drawer up. So with all of you can order their pull-out drawer system here, or pull-out table, sorry, which is pretty cool. A lot of extra space. It also helps, you can open that with the drawer closed. So the lack of tailgate again on this platform, this kind of makes up for that a little bit. We did have to get a little creative. You'll see some things that are not typical for the air down gear up system. So like these handles, for instance, typically stick out, which would have fit, but we needed as much room as we could for what we did behind the seat. So we actually had to make a downward bend, make a different cover plate here with a handle for that pull-out table. This allowed us to shift the drawers about an inch further forward, which allowed us to fit what we needed behind there and still have a good angle on the seats. So moving on to some of the power provisions we have in here. So the Red Vision system, we've got all of our lighting, our plugs, everything is wired to this, along with our water monitoring and our pump switch for our onboard potable water here, which is pretty cool. We can turn our fridge on. And we actually wired even though most of our accessory lighting is into the Switch Pro, all our rigid lighting, we've got the side or the roof lighting is wired into the Red Vision along with the Switch Pro. So we're running this off of our auxiliary battery. The lights on the rack are ran off the auxiliary battery. All the other lights are ran off the main battery, but we can operate those lights from the Red Vision or the Switch Pro. So whether you're sitting up front, you want to turn your side lights on while you're driving, you can do that. Or if you're at camp, you can turn on your side lights here with these switches along with our backlight. So that's a pretty cool feature. Continuing on to this side of the drawer system, this is the camp kitchen side. Actually, real quick, I want to touch on just how we've mounted this entire drawer system. So there used to be a third row seat back here. We've eliminated the third row seat, did whatever we needed to do wiring wise to trick that to make it not think the third row seat's back there. Underneath this platform houses our slimline 120 amp hour lithium battery. So that's tucked underneath. And then our 10-gallon stainless steel potable water tank. So we had to do all that custom. Pretty tight under there. There's not a ton of room, but we were able to fit that. So that just opens up the cargo space. We don't have to have a battery in here. We don't have to have water back here or water inside. Moving on to our kitchen setup on the drawers here. So we'll go ahead and pull this out. So this has full extension, very solid on our platform. This actually works quite well. We've got no stove in here currently. The customer is going to play around with some electric cooktops. But let's start, kind of work our way back. So we'll start here and then come all the way back. So first off, you can see we've got a 1500 watt red arc pure sine inverter tucked behind the fridge. That is wired up to these outlets right there on the fridge rack. And then that is controlled with our red arc system here. So we've got our fridge, our inverter. We can turn everything on and off from that. We've got USB, we've got 12 volt, and then we've got 110. We also put another 110 plug off the inverter back in that corner. He is going to charge. He brings with him a larger, I believe, an EcoFlow power bank. He's going to mount back there and keep charge off of the inverter. This works well. We've got enough clearance to the hatch where you can leave accessories plugged in. You can put them up on the shelf. You can see we've got cameras charging currently, which works great. This little light here is something that comes with the drawers that Air Down Gear Up offers, which is pretty cool. It's not a very bright light, but when it's dark out, this is perfectly illuminates inside your drawer when you open it up. So again, moving back over to more cable management and plumbing management here, we've got another cable guide that our fridge wiring is running into. So super clean. We don't have any loose wires dangling around. That runs into this box. This houses our potable water spigot. And I'll show you that here in a minute, but I also want to touch on just how we've anchored this the EcoFlow fridge down. We're using these straps from Trekbox, great little fridge strap. Once you route them through, it's not like a normal cam strap. It actually has an over cam, so we can clip it and it locks it down really tight. We've added some little stops. You can't really see them, but basically they cradle the foot of the fridge so it drops in. This cannot move around. Even when it's strapped really well, when it's strapped to a flat, slick surface, that fridge can kind of move around. So this one will stay put. So here, this is the whole reason we put the 10 gallons up underneath there, is we have our potable water and our spigot right here. So this is controlled here. So we've got our pump. Might be a little air in the lines because we've just been testing it out. This can pull all the way out, so we've got enough extension to get to your pots, pans where you're cooking, fill up your cup. You've even got an ice maker on this fridge, so you can fill that up, make ice, have drinks, and it's got pretty good flow. And that, again, that is filtered potable water, food grade stainless tank. Let that system bleed a little. And we've got 10 gallons of that. So we've this manages the hose, lets us have that extension without any crazy complicated mechanisms. And then we've 3D printed a little holder for the spigot here. So that just presses in. That allows you don't have to pull that out to use that. We can use it here as well. You can fill a cup with it. So pretty cool setup. I think the customer's going to be stoked with that. All right, so we'll close all this up. And actually, one thing to note on this drawer system is it's super easy to open and close. One thing kind of cool is we only use the locking slides here on the one extension. The rest of the extensions use a ball detent, spring-loaded ball detent to keep it from going in and out. So just less complicated, less weight. We don't have to unlatch a slide on all of these. So these just simply push in. So that's locked, and then those detent in place, and you're set up. So once everything is packed away, we still have a little bit of storage for longer items, camp chairs, tents, things like that, on the sides here. So those hinge up. We've got some decent space there. A little flap door opens up on the side. And then along the side of the fridge, that stays open. There's no attachment point, so that lets us shove some stuff in the side here as well, along with the shelf over the fridge. So that's great for whatever camera gear you need to charge that you can plug in while you're driving, or soft gear, sleeping bags. You'll see back here we've run, so all of our cables for this little box that we made here. And again, so the drawer system's Air Down Gear Up. We've customized it with all the electrical, all the mounting, all the boxes. Like we talked about, the latches here. But this channel here houses all the wiring for this system. So that's our 110, our USB, our 12 volt, and runs back to the back of the drawer. So we'll close this down and fold the seats up, and we'll show you what we got going on back there. All right, so moving on to the electrical system. So first you can see we've got a pretty good angle, pretty good recline on the seats. So that was part of the reason why we had to shift this drawer forward. Not a huge fan of the electric fold. It takes some getting used to, but I guess it's convenient. All right, so in here, we've made this whole custom panel that mounted to the back of the air down drawer system. This is part of our platform where the third row seats were. So you can kind of see a little better. This is where our slim battery is tucked in. So that's housed under there. The wiring routes up. This is just a little enclosed storage cubby. You can put whatever, air down gear, some tool rolls, whatever. It fits our Morphlate hose system pretty well up underneath there. So moving on to the electronics, this side is all of our big fuses, all of our heavy gauge wiring that's coming up from the battery. We custom made these latches and these panels. So we've got easy access to all of our electrical, but also those panels keep it safe if anything were to fall back in here. As you can see, we've got a lot of stuff crammed into a very tight space. We got a lot of hours just trying to figure out how to fit all of this in here without having wires ran everywhere. So I think we did a pretty good job there. So same thing, we got a window here. So this is where all of our TVMS, our Red Arc, Red Vision, all of our systems that power the controller up front, and then all of our water, our rear lighting, fridge, everything is powered off of this. This is the 30 amp Red Arc charger, Manager 30. So this is a smart charger for our lithium battery. This is what the shore power plugs into, and then also we got 30 amps of charging when the vehicle's running. We do not have solar on this one, but it is capable to take solar. He's got a portable panel, which we have wired in on this side, a plug for his panel. So he doesn't anticipate needing to use that often, so he opted to not have that routed outside. But yeah, this is a very cool setup. We've got all of our fuses right here, easy to access. Everything is noted. All the wiring is cleanly tucked in here. No sharp edges, no issues or potential of having issues. We take a lot of care in making sure the wires are routed firmly, but also loomed, taped up, shielded anywhere needed. So again, I think this came out pretty clean and still allows for some comfortable seating positions with the second row passengers. Clip these panels back in. And you can see the upper fridge shelf here that's over the fridge. Just one thing to note is we do have this extrusion with a lip on it that will keep things from flying up into that second row. You could also bolt on just about anything to these T-slots, which is nice. We've also, when we removed the third row seat, we kind of eliminated where the factory tire tools were. So we've got those strapped up to the Moly panel on the shelf as well. So you can see the tool kit right there. All right, so in closing, I wanted to touch on a few thoughts of this platform in general as a overland or an off-road platform, the suspension, and then just kind of touch on if you guys want to send any of your vehicles in to us to have us build them out. So first off, the LX600 really is our version of the Land Cruiser 300. It's what many would consider the only true Land Cruiser currently. It's built very tough, very robust, has the bigger diffs. One potential downside, or one thing that people see as a downside, and they do offer it with a traditional suspension, but very few of these are available with a traditional suspension. So we have the hydraulic auto height control. And again, I must say I've been quite impressed with this. We drove it out here on these rough roads. It is super smooth. It's handling the weight, no problem. We've got 4 different ride heights. It automatically adjusts. When I put it in high 2, which is the highest mode, which is where it's sitting now, it will allow it to, doesn't allow us to get over about 55, I believe, in the high 2. Then it drops into the next setting, which is about an inch or so lower than this. Then that lets you get up to about 65 miles an hour to where it drops into your neutral, which is kind of the stock setting. But as soon as you slow down to a point, it'll raise it right back up to this height. But again, the ride is insanely good. I don't think there's going to be any kind of aftermarket suspension that's an affordable option that's going to perform better than what Lexus has with this auto height control. So I wouldn't let that stop you on if this is a platform worth building. I think it's a great system. Again, biggest con to this platform is going to be the cost. I think MSRP is 100 grand plus, and then they are not cheap to mod, and there's not very many shops that are going to be able to do that. We've had to build everything custom on this one. But with that being said, the next few projects, if you guys have one of these vehicles you want to have built out, it is going to get a little more cost friendly with the, because we have a lot of this product developed now, so we could reproduce it quite easily. So with that, we hope you enjoyed watching this build, watching this video. We hope it showed some of our capabilities, some of our custom capabilities, our wiring capabilities. If you guys have a similar build, it does not have to be an LX600. We work on just about anything. We specialize in Land Cruisers. So if you have one you want to get on our schedule, make sure to email sales@Descent Off-Road. We could get you quotes. We could get you set up on the calendar. Also, make sure to, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe, because we plan to do more videos in the future of our builds and our customers' builds. So stay tuned. All right, we are going to hit the trails, get back in the dirt, do some more testing before the customer picks up on Monday.